Continue to ping, ping, ping. We're going to get started here in a few more minutes. If you haven't already, become a member of Thy Kingdom Come. Click on the little greenhouse above uh, our heads. Become a member. You can nominate others to become a member. And be sure to follow the moderators on stage. We're going to get started here in about 60 seconds. All right, let's go again. Let's go ahead and get started. King Ben, are you ready to go?
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to the room. First, I want to give praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shout out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings and blessings. This is, excuse me, sorry. Over the past 13 episodes, we have been doing this Jacob Trouble series. The first set of Jacob's Trouble, we've covered various aspects of the coming deluge that we will have to go through, the world will have to go through. We covered what is Jacob's Trouble, what does the Bible say about it, and our ways to navigate through it by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High and having faith in the Messiah. We also cover various aspects of Jacob's Trouble: power outages, food storage, food rotation, starting a garden, water storage, self-defense, and skills to learn that will be prevalent. So we covered that for 13 episodes. And then recently we went over, we're on a new segment regarding Jacob's Trouble called Analyzing Jacob's Trouble. This is where we take various films and TV shows to extrapolate relevant lessons regarding the end times and how we can apply it in the future. So, and also with Jacob's Trouble, there's a website that you guys have been privy to. So that's where we're having the lessons or the films that we review. So tonight, without further ado, welcome to episode 9 of our series, Analyzing Jacob's Trouble. Tonight we will cover a short film from the Walking Dead universe called Red Machete. In the opening scene, we see a man fighting with a zombie as he grabs a red machete to defend himself. Unfortunately, the zombie kills him as the other members of his family come too late to help him. There's a father and 2 young girls. One appears to be a young teen, and the other one appears to be younger than her. Given this incident, it appears that it's still in the early stages of the outbreak. The son did not know to aim for the head, and there are still plenty of supplies in the store, which in the beginning of the final stage of the collapse, it will be some of the worst times for the unprepared. We will have widespread looting, traffic jams, chaos. There will be a lot going on. So the father picks up the machete and kills a zombie in the alleyway. He then stops and then gives the older daughter the machete. In the next scene, we see her practicing with the machete and her father guiding her strikes. Among the many things we should learn and teach our children is to use some form of self-defense. I know some parents instantly think of the money involved, but not thinking about that one day they will have to use that skill, and that skill could save a life or even theirs. So if and also we have to consider if there's where there's no investment, there's no appreciation. So buying an affordable slingshot or entry level bow and arrow for $30 on Amazon will give you a return on your investment long after you are gone. In the next scene, we see a montage of her practicing her slashing and stabbing while we see the food rations dwindling. Which, if you live in the country as they are, you want to make sure that you are well stocked with non-perishable items and practice food rotation. We can see in this montage the consequences of not working the farm. We also see the younger sister not practicing or helping, just sitting outside with some headphones on. Again, when there is someone, albeit a kid, they don't want to take responsibility of, you know, uh, they don't want to take responsibility of living during the apocalypse. Now, the father should have given her some responsibility, whether it was helping him around the farm, helping him around the house, or making him learn with her older sister. But even though this is a kid, you will have many adults who do not want to have any responsibility during this time. So we saw that in quite a few films we've seen where there appears to be a tag along or someone who's just surviving off the strength of others who are contributing very little. Granted, this is a kid, so you're not going to be too hard on her, but um, you know the that spirit still rings true. Now, the father sits down at the table and presents the last can of food, looking stressed, reasonably so. In the next scene, we see them back in the city on a supply run, trying to escape zombies as they zig and zag past the horde. The younger daughter is grabbed by the hair of a zombie and swarmed and eaten. Let me say that again. The younger daughter is grabbed by the hair and swarmed and eaten. I cannot emphasize this enough. Ladies, when this goes down, please put your hair up. However you want to do it, but the long flowing hair during the apocalypse is a death sentence. We then see the father We then see in the next scene, as the father and older daughter escape, the father is cutting off the older daughter's hair and creating a headstone for Elisa, the younger daughter. We then see the two walking with a caught fish and the father teaching his daughter how to scale and gut a fish. Now, in this film, the technique is kind of primitive. You can go to YouTube and they show you a few different ways on how to fillet a fish without scaling and gutting it. There are some really clean techniques to use. Then we see her practicing some more and becoming more efficient. In the later scene, we see the father hand her the machete with her name, Mandy, carved in the handle. In the next scene, we see them dragging a live zombie in a net and tie him up to make some type of alarm system, to which the zombie bites the dad and he later dies. Now, as you saw in the scene, it was an accident. The dad wasn't intentionally trying to get bit, but accidents do and will happen. So it'd be our best bet to avoid those as much as we can and be cautious. That's what we're doing. I mentioned this in the film Jameson, where the opening scene he was chopping wood. So if you haven't chopped wood before, or you have no one there, if you haven't chopped wood before, and your first time chopping wood with no one to guide you or no one to teach you during the apocalypse, it would be highly ill advised. Because again, an accident happens, and assuming you got to stitch up a gash, or you chop off some toes or fingers, um, you know, with no medical services, you'll be in a very bad spot, and unless you know how to do first aid. But even then, given the type of injury it is and recovery time, and the possibility of infection, is just things you want to avoid. So, I use this as an example of an accident, that it could have been avoided. The dad could have been smart, um, or smarter. This is a good idea, but poorly executed. The dad should have done what Michonne did from season 3 of The Walking Dead and removed their mouths, or what Paul did to Karina in The Oath. We later see Mandy returning home from a supply run by herself. She lays the machete on the table, and we see a group come up to the house. Oh, Salaki, let me back up a little bit. So, after her father died, we see her laying a headstone for her dad next to the headstone of Elise. So, she buried her dad, and then we see in the later scene she's returning home from a supply run, and she lays the machete on the table. As she's doing that, we see a group of men come up to the house and kill the zombie, which stopped the bell from ringing, which notified Mandy that someone was approaching. Now, with that, it was like when the guy killed the zombie and the bell stopped. That 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 was a really good idea, because normally when we see traps or tripwires or some type of alarm, it's to make the bell go off. So the fact that the zombie kept the bell ringing, and when he was dead, the bell stopped. You can call that the canary in the coal mine. So um, you know, um, which would answer the question, why would the guy kill the zombie in the first place? Well, it could be assumed that he thought the alarm system was the same way we traditionally think of alarm systems, as if you trip it and it goes off. So he came up on the zombie, the bells were already ringing, so he thought someone was already in the house or already left the house, so he just killed the zombie. So it was a smart idea by the dad, but again, poorly executed. Um, we see several men enter the house from the front and the back of the home. And with that being said, trying to defend or stay at a home that big and that open is highly unadvised. But in Mandy's case, that's your home. It's still standing. It's remote. And if I was in her case, and given her age and knowledge, I probably would have stayed too until it was time to leave. We see a man search Mandy's room, and with Mandy hiding behind a mirror, and we can see the man has her machete in his hand. In the next scene, we see the man putting on headphones, which we can assume they are Lisa's. Put on the headphones, and as he tapes the handle of the machete with red tape and cleans and sharpens the blade. Unbeknown to him, a zombie approaches from behind and gets the drop on him and kills him. Intentionally blocking one of your senses like he did is another death sentence. Like putting on headphones or something like that. I mean, I would have to be in a compound with our brother and who keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and it's their term to keep watch, and we all everyone is assured or has fairly confident that the Most High is on our side. Then and maybe then I might put on some headphones in a secure location and listen to some music. But absent of all that, absolutely not. And you can see the consequence of being relaxed for a moment in this type of situation. We then see the machete traveling through the impaled zombie, and the zombie walking an unknown amount of miles until Joe and his gang from season 4 of The Walking Dead walks on the zombie and kills it and takes the machete. We then see them walking past the sign for Terminus offering food and shelter, which we all know was a trap for cannibals, a trap that cannibals used to trap people. Given Joe's expression as he walked past the sign without stopping, we can surmise that Joe's gang met Gareth, the leader from Terminus, at some point. We see Joe and the gang walking until they see a hiker trying to fight off a few zombies. Now, he appears wanting to help by gripping the handle hard, and then he sees the desperate hiker get overtaken, and Joe relaxes the grip and stares on as the hiker gets eaten. And as the hiker is getting eaten, we see the hiker giving Joe the middle finger as he gets consumed. Now, Joe could have done something. His men had guns, and given the type of man, but given the type of man Joe is, he wouldn't have wasted ammo or taken a chance for someone he doesn't know or he feels is useful. Later we see as his men throw out and later we see this as his men throw out and beat up an old man from his cabin, which we can assume they robbed the man of whatever supplies he had. Now here's the thing about people who think, they're going to get away in, some remote area and, be all well and no one's going to bother them and they got their food, gun and ammo, and they got their generator and whatever. That type of security, that type of faith in your carnal security, you will be overtaken. We saw that in the first film we covered on episode 1 of Analyzing Jacob's Trouble in Aftermath. The opening scene are guys walking to a cabin in the woods, kicking the door down, shooting up the place, and then robbing. No questions asked, no conversations, just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We see that in we saw that in also in Aftermath when they were in their location and the older brother got shot in the head. You see that in Jameson. He was alone in a remote area and the three guys came and robbed him. You saw that in Leftovers when the psychopath was reading a book and feeding her chickens until her next set of dinner arrived. A father and two children desperately coming beg desperately running for help as they were trying to evade zombies. So at some point, we see this with Mandy at her farm and then this old man. At some point, somebody is going to come to that land, whether friend or foe, beggar or giver. Somebody is going to come to that location. It's just people are going to migrate eventually. They're going to move out of the cities. Herds are going to move through. Whether it's FEMA, whether whoever, somebody is going to visit that place. So just those who think this is what I got and this is where I am. I have 800 acres. Yeah, it's if it's not defendable by the Most High primarily and by someone who can sleep, who can keep watch while you're sleeping, you're going to get some visitors. Um, so later that night, we see the red machete parked in a tree stump as Joe and his men sleep for the night in their tents. We see two survivors approaching the tents and a man and a woman, and the woman enters one of the tents that's empty as the other one is looking, as the other one is keeping watch. We can assume the woman is looking for things to steal. Then Joe and some of his men come out of the neighboring tent and beat up the man and subdue the woman as Joe grabs the machete and cuts off the man's hand. And it doesn't show what happened to the woman, but considering the fact that one of Joe's men tries to rape Carl, a teenage boy, the son of Rick Grimes in season 4 of The Walking Dead, we can be certain what happened to the woman. In the next scene, we see a comic strip of scenes which all played out during the Walking Dead series. We see Rick holding the red machete after he killed Joe and his men, with Carl standing behind him. We see the scene of Gareth and his men from Terminus finding Rick and the others at the church, and Rick sets a trap for them, and he kills Gareth with the red machete, as he promised that he would do at the beginning of season 5 of The Walking Dead. We continue to see the comic strips of season 5 play out all the way from Georgia until they get to Alexandria, one of the hidden communities that was fully functioning with food, solar power, and newly built homes that the president of the Homeowners Association decided to wall off and the residents decided to stay inside. Now that will be a real thing where communities will close off access, lock down, and be guarded. Here in Houston, we saw that. I saw that personally with after Hurricane, I think Irma, one of the hurricanes in 2017. I think it wasn't Ike; it was the one in 2017. They literally had lawn chairs at the entrance of these neighborhoods because some of the neighborhoods, you have they're not one way ins or one way outs. They're not guarded and gated. They just have you can go in through one side of the street and exit another side of the street. So on those entrances and exits, they have people in lawn chairs and trucks blocking the entrance and exit. And if you pulled up, they asked, "Oh, do you live here?" And of course, if you're white, I'm sure they just let you pass. And we saw some people getting, passed. I'm sure if you were any other color, you had to show your driver's license to show them that you actually lived in that community. But that type of community will actually, is more than likely going to happen in any disaster scenario. So I'm almost certain that will happen. And so, as we saw in Alexandria, they had to, they built a quick wall of, metal sheet and wood, and we don't exist. So we see. We see the red machete in the armory of Alexandria until we see it's when Negan and the Saviors, that's the name of Negan's gang, show up to clean the place out after subduing Rick and the rest of Alexandria. We see a Savior load up the machete on the back of a truck and take it to their hideout. We see a Jake gets a box of machetes for the armory. He takes the red machete and escapes the compound. And if you know anything about Negan's place, if you weren't a higher rank, whether man or woman, you weren't generally happy, but order and safety were maintained. I'm going to just call him Jake. Jake then escapes during the day and finds some food in an abandoned car and eats some cold SpaghettiOs and keeps moving. One thing I will say when it comes to escaping a place like that is to cover your tracks. And given the type of compound, it might have been best to travel at night, which is one of the rare exceptions, I would say, to travel at night, is when you are escaping from some place. We see that when the brother's running out of supplies and gets shot. We don't see who shot him, but we can assume it was one of Negan's men, as we've seen in the show what happens to people who try to escape Negan. We see him drop the red machete and turn into a zombie. We then see a time lapse of many days, weeks, and months come and go with the machete still being there in the field until Mandy casually walks by and sees it. She grabs the machete and wonders in disbelief until she unwraps the red tape and sees her name carved in the handle. She kills two zombies and she leaves her makeshift tent made with leaves, twigs, and sticks, and she returns home to a decaying farmhouse. We see the roof has been caved in many places. Vines and spiderwebs have overtaken the house from years of neglect. We see boarded up windows, which lets us know that other groups of people have lived there, albeit temporarily. She then kills a zombie in her room, after which she returns to the headstone of her dad and her sister and stakes the red machete there and walks away. So, in conclusion, what do we have? We have a glimpse into the lives of various people during the apocalypse, people we all can see ourselves in one way or another. We see a father who's trying to keep his daughters alive after losing a son in the initial stage. A father who, by an unfortunate accident, became the latest victim. But before he died, he made sure he passed down the skills of fighting and fishing to his daughter. A daughter who didn't get to have a childhood or enjoy her teen years. A daughter, Mandy, who was forced to grow up quickly or die like the rest of her family. The cost of their mistakes became her tuition in the school of hard knocks, an educational experience that many of us will have to take. Mandy learned the rules quickly and accepted her reality. A reality that involved being adaptable, mobile, accepting loss quickly, being smart and calm while evading zombies and marauders. Marauders who will be opportunistic savages who will rob, rape, and kill anyone they see that will satisfy the need or their want for the moment. Marauders who will be just as deadly than any zombies because their souls were gone long before they collapse. These characters in this film, the men, the women, the kids and the teens, parents, survivors, marauders, sinners, saints, Israelites, and heathens, are all the types of people we will become and who we will meet during Jacob's trouble. So with that, I yield. I'll pass it on to King Ben or Mike if there's anything you want to bring out or comment on the film. Or, or I yield at this point. If there's anyone else who wants to raise their hand,
Con. So, one of the main things that I took from the film was like, teaching the young ones preparation when it comes to like, combat. I had a couple precepts I just wanted to grab real quick. First one is Proverbs 22:6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So, obviously that would be the law, statutes, and commandments as well. It's a commandment to prepare for these days. So that's not just on us. We should be training our children, if we have children, for the same things. Gonna get that. That's actually Second Ezra 16:40. It says, "O my people, hear my word. Make you ready to thy battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth." So just wanted to get that to showcase that in those days, it's not just going to be us that have to train for these things. Like, if you have this knowledge, of just hand to hand combat using weapons, etc., we should be training our children because these Edomites, they're stocked up on guns and ammo, and 7-year-old Becky is out there shooting on the weekends with her father. So just wanted to add that, but I yield.
Yeah, that's and that's. I'm glad you brought that out because you know, um, as you're learning, it'll be just nothing just to bring them along. Like put down, the game or whatever. Like, hey, come learn this too. We need to learn this. And some kids, depending on who they are, their temperament and how old they are, be like, they'll see it, as a fun thing. Some, you kind of got to make them do it. So, but in any event, at this, for Mandy's case, she quickly realized these are skills she'll need to learn. So after seeing that visual, um, I guess, initial shock of her brother, we can assume it's her brother, getting eaten, and the dad was like, "No, you got to learn how to use this." So it wasn't like, I don't want to, I'm bored, I want to go do this. No, the reality of the situation showed her or told her that this is important. Pre-collapse, I know some parents is going to be hard, but you're the parent, they're the child, so it's kind of things you got to make them do it. But they'll quickly um, they will quickly get it. They'll find it fun or whatever. But again, I'll pray. We're definitely gonna be praying for you for those who have kids and you're dealing with that. But Mandy pre-collapse, like, why do I need to learn how to use machete? Why do I need to learn how to fish? Yeah, I mean, fishing is fun, whatever. I mean, she's on a farm. You can assume she likes fishing, but there will be some resistance. After the collapse, absolutely not, no resistance whatsoever. She understood that she needed to learn these skills, and the consequences of not learning them is you don't eat and or you will get killed or worse. I got a quick question. The part of Jake getting shot and woke up a zombie, what was that about? Okay, so I hate to say, I don't want to spoil anything, but this series is like almost 10 years old. So in The Walking Dead, everyone's infected. Every single person's infected, whether you get bitten by a zombie or not. So no matter how you die, you'll wake up a zombie. So if you don't, if you die and no one cuts off your head or shoots you in the head or anything like that, or destroys the brain, basically, you'll wake up a zombie. So when the brother got shot, he woke up a zombie. So which leads me to believe that if Mandy did not know that, given it was that early in the outbreak, you could assume that her dad, who was buried, is still under there, a zombie, or unless she realized it as he passed. But well, he got bitten, so that was the thing that was a lot of people understood at the beginning of the outbreak was you got bitten, so you turned into one. But people slowly start to realize that it doesn't matter how you die, you'll still turn into a zombie. So everyone in the Walking Dead series is already infected. They were infected before the breakout started. So not sure how they become infected. I'm not trying to read too much into that. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Ben, is there something you want to bring out, or Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to hop in there just real quick. I had one more precept. I definitely agree with you on the headphone situation. The younger daughter showed no interest in learning how to train, and it obviously was her demise in the film. Um, but I have one more precept. It's Psalms 144. Just the first verse. It says, "Blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war, my fingers to fight." So, a lot of times you'll get people that are not Israelites or, basically Christians, and their mindset is basically that the Lord will protect me, will be raptured. I don't need to train and learn how to use weapons and how to defend myself, but you're going to really be jammed up, in those last days if that's your mentality. So, just wanted to throw that out there as well, but I yield.
Well, the younger daughter, she didn't get killed because she didn't want to learn. She got killed because the zombie grabbed her hair as they were running. Which I mean, I just can't emphasize that enough for people with long hair. Please put up your hair. If you want to wrap it up, put a wrap on it. It doesn't. That's. I mean, there's no reason to be having your hair long in this type of situation. It can get caught on something. Someone can grab it. You get into a fight. You're running from a guy. They're gonna grab it. Um, you know, Lots of things that could happen. King Ben, is something you want to bring out, or your comments or the film?
Kind. Yeah. I really, I like this one. Um, you know, uh, a little disclaimer. I was kind of, laughing through it, because instead of red machete, it should have been knife of a thousand mistakes because it just kept, they kept everybody that touched the knife did something stupid, and it just seemed like any knife, any person that the machete hands ended up in, they was bound to die. Like they didn't even know, what was going on with this machete, bro. But they was happy to get it, and most of them, basically ended up with their demise, right? Um, the main thing that I seen from this, and it goes into preparation, mainly for in thinking our people of just the things not to do. I really understood. The main part I really related with was what Brother Mike had said is reference to training up our children, and a lot of time with these things, I think we get a real lackadaisical and you know real slothful with just the way we train our children in preparedness, and our children a lot of times where you know we have to be the example to lead them in this time. And I think it said a lot in the beginning of you think about the daughter that was left, right? And she always seemed to be like the somber one, the more serious one, the more, I guess, austere one, even the father, where he would like, you know um he would show her, like he'll smile, and she always seemed to be real serious and in a real grave mode, kind of like focusing and things like that, as to where he himself let his guard down. He wasn't like, when he was running, he was kicking zombies, but he wasn't kind of like, he was leading the way, but he wasn't following behind. It was like they was left on their own in the beginning, right? The littlest one is behind, bringing up the rear, which is a no. He's kind of in the front. The bigger child is in the middle. So they're kind of in a vulnerable position. Though he had things in his hand, that was one of their, and then in the beginning of this, the son that was caught out there, didn't train, he wasn't then appeared to use training well, as to where, what he, did with the zombies. So he got caught out there. it was just like so much, so much mistakes being made, man. And the main thing about what we're teaching in this time to come is discipline or lack thereof. And that could be a demise. Training, with training comes discipline, and how you carry yourself and what you stick to, and things that you do. You saw the guy in the video that put on the headphones. Now he literally cleaned a knife. He knows zombies around, and he put on headphones. You know, you always want to have your sound, and our people are like that. Our people, we have the earbuds in, walking down the street, and this I was taught this from young. My mother always told me, never go out in the street and have your headphones on blasting when you can't hear anything. It's just like blasting your music in your car when you drive down the street. You can't hear any emergency vehicles. It might be a car chase, something going on. You should always be able to hear your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? You should never be caught in the element where you don't be able to use at least all your senses, right? So if you're in a car and you can see but you can't hear, you're at a disadvantage. You know what I'm saying? If you're hearing and you can't look, you're at a disadvantage. If you can't smell anything, you're at a disadvantage. You can't feel, you're at a disadvantage, right? So, the Most High gave you these senses. You want to be able to use them to your advantage. And this goes to training. If you train, you want to be able to use all of these things that you learn and be able to apply them and have them to your advantage. So, I just wanted to talk to just to that point about discipline um, and foolish behavior. We got to take countenance of, just of the things that we do. Um, Precept that I had in reference to this is that, um, thinking on the one that survived, she was trained the best. I think the father applied a lot of training into her, and he really didn't apply. His things that he could have did with the little one, but he kind of let her. And we have this thing where we're gonna, let children be children, and we understand that. But the training starts from young, so that they can be disciplined from young. You can't start when they're already older. Like you can't bend a tree when it's old. So you got to start from younger. As Mike said, he said, train up a child, right? So the ones that I had picked out that I wanted, it was this represent discipline. This is Hebrews 12 and 11. It says, now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yielded a peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Right? So when you are talking to your children at this time, and I know from my standpoint, I have a little girl, and the first thing that she does when she's with me, she wants to, I guess, hop on YouTube, or play with the tablet. She wants to, go and play Roblox and these things. And we have to, we have to a discipline that we come in. We come in, of course, we pray, and we do the things that we're supposed to do. Of course, I anoint my daughter, and all these things. And after prayer, we go into our rituals and things like that. And then, our preparation, you always got to keep them in the mode for anything that's happening. You know, we have a routine, and this is something that you drill into them so that if you're not around, they have these things already embedded in them. They know what to do, right? It was that if you watch the movie, it was that older child that was able to survive from the things that her father taught her, even, you know, improving on the mistakes that her father made, right? Because he wasn't disciplined with the things that he was doing, staying away from the zombie, making sure the rope is secured, kind of like letting down his guard on certain things, not looking out for his children in those certain ways. He was supposed to be the more disciplined one, so he could pass that thing down to them, right? Um, it says, and these are the things, definitely, uh, you got to be able to love and take instruction. This is Proverbs 12:1. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish, right? We gotta, we gotta love our as ourselves. We gotta be examples to love and take and taking instruction, right? And that instruction that we take in, we can pass on to our children. We, along with that, discipline of constantly, chastening them in the right way, not, not being a lion in your house all the time, but you got to be strict, you got to be firm, you got to be consistent. These things is going to keep your children alive, right? Like we always talk about during this class, you got to be constantly testing your children that, if something should kick off and I'm not able to get to you, you're home and I'm out, or you're out and I'm home, or we're away from each other, you know what to do, you know where to go. This is a constant thing that we got to continue to do as many times as we can, daily. Um, put it in their phones that they see it. Have things written on the wall at home. These little things, right? This would be my last precept. Uh, it goes into the rearing of children, right? Because that's what really stood out to me, right? These are going to be those that are more vulnerable when shit hits the fan. Is our children, our women, our children. Um, and I can't, I love my child, but us as fathers, a lot of time you see parents with children and they're really like kind of goofy and with their children as far as giving them orders, and that could be problematic. And it's not say that you shouldn't be you shouldn't be fun with your children and things like that, but you got to let them know that you're serious when you're doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get to the certain point of training, no folly, no folly. Let's cut it. It's time to train. All right. And this is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 10. And I'm gonna start at chapter 30, and I'm gonna start at 10. It says, laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Right? And that's not saying that you should never, joke, with your children or anything like that. But that's just saying that don't be a goofball all the time when it comes to giving instruction, right? Because you want him to know that you're serious. You want him to be able to look to you, or them to look to you as a person of leadership, that they may able to take on these traits and understand, right? Verse 11, give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies, right? Is that saying don't allow them to do anything? No, that's not saying that. It's just saying that be mindful to help him correct these mistakes. Too many mistakes is bad choices, right? Right? So you want to make sure that these follies and things that these children are doing, that is not repeated habits, right? We learned about these things in our character building classes, right? With Brother Dominique, right? This is the last one, verse 12. It says, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thy heart. Right? Does that say beat? Does that mean beat him all the time? No, definitely not. Absolutely not. That means you're training your child when he's young. The simple thing that I told you, been a child when they're old, so that they would create these traits that when they are older, they will turn into the young adults that we are trying to create, to go towards the kingdom. We don't want, you know, a lot of these children walking around now, no respect for elders, no respect for any of our people, and just learned of the world that we have today, and shit hits the fan and they're cowards. We don't want that. We want trained warriors. We want trained princesses and women that when shit hits the fan, they know what to do. They have instruction, and they know where to go and how to do it. And that's what we want to produce. That's what we want to put out there. So these are clearly um prime instructions on how to do so in the training of our children, and giving them discipline for the oncoming trouble that we are preparing for. It starts with them. Now, for our own, it's always a reproving of each other as men and women of ourselves. And it's, it basically starts with us, but these are the things that trickle down to them. As we've seen this, we had one that didn't survive, the parent didn't survive, but we had one child that received the training and actually improved on it and survived at the end. So that's really what I wanted to add on that idea.
Ooh, Khan, can I hop in there real quick? Because that's actually the
Yeah, go.
verse that's actually the verse I was gonna go to. I was holding that Ecclesiasticus 31. Just to talk about like the seriousness of those times. Like you gotta think about it from this aspect. When a country or a nation is about to go to war, they have basic training. The general is not laughing and cracking jokes with them. King David, when the Israelites in the Old Testament were about to go out to war, he wasn't cracking jokes. It was serious. So we do have to go through that time to train up our young ones, train up ourselves, train up everyone as a nation, so that when those times hit us, we're ready to act how we have to act. It's just training at that point. You know how to do it. Another point that Ben had made, it was a really good point, was about the scene where the man had tied up the Jake zombie, and he really didn't make sure the rope was tight or anything like that. That was a lack of preparation and not paying attention to details. Stuff like that during that time period is going to be life or death. So we really can't play with that stuff. But I just wanted to just point that out just real quick. But I yield.
Con. All good points. All good points and good precepts too. Thank you for bringing that out. The water. Anybody else? Questions, comments about the film? Anything you want to add to it? Feel free to raise your hand. Um, that's okay. Bring up Brother Feed. Light you up. Sent the invite. Okay, there you go.
So
Shalom.
I was a little late. Where can you find this movie at?
I'll send you the link. So it's a website where we do these Jacob Trouble series. So I post the film up and on the website, and then I put out the link to those. Are you in that Kingdom Come telechat?
I don't think so. Nah.
Oh, okay. Contact myself or brother Ben, King Ben, and we'll put you in the telechat, and I'll drop the link to the website. So um, when you come into the rooms, it's on the as you go to the website, it's the top film. I put the newest films up top, the ones that we're covering, and this is what we'll discuss the following week for Jacob's Trouble.
Okay, con. So just hit you in the back chat.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still an open site, so I've been getting some spam, but not too much, so I can kind of get rid of it. So you know, that's why I really like to say it over the thing. So I'll send it to somebody I know versus just people, say it over there and bots start flooding the website. So I'll just drop you the link and you can check it out.
All right, con the water.
So if anybody else needs the link to the website, uh, just DM me and I'll just drop the link, no problem. Um, but yeah, so if there's anyone else that has any questions or wants to comment on the film, things you noticed, things we didn't cover, or questions, feel free to raise your hand. Um, as people raising their hand, what we're going to do. So I guess I'll give an announcement for the next class. In the meantime, is there if there's any topic that you want us to cover for Jacob's Trouble? Um, you know, not necessarily a movie. We got plenty of that. Don't worry about that. We got plenty of films to cover. That's definitely not a issue. But I guess I'm talking about some topics that we've covered in the past that you didn't quite understand it or you need a refresher on. If I can go over it again, um, if there's any topic you can, I guess, raise your hand and we can discuss it, or or you can drop a message in the chat, the telechat, the telegram, and we'll cover that. So we have two people coming up. Let's go ahead and invite them up.
I had one last, if I could get it in real quick, one
Oh,
last
sure, go
precept.
ahead as I'm bringing them up.
Con. This is one precept just in reference to the men. Um, the father, which played a, usually we, a lot of last movies we've seen a lot of women, but mainly the father, especially having two girls. And it kind of goes along with the lesson that Brother Dominique today, uh, which was a very good lesson. This is Titus 2:2. It says that the aged men and be sober, grave. That word there, grave, is serious, a serious characteristic, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, and in patience, right? So in that age man, meaning, a man that's studied, right? A man that's disciplined. So yeah, definitely I forgot that one. Definitely wanted to bring that out in reference to, how we should be leading and how we should be moving in those situations. Um, you know, what Leo said played a serious part. It's advantages that he could have took, instead of just going to the shelf and getting food out of the shelf until it ran out. He could have been, using some of that area that they had to try to, extend themselves. The less, if you extending your using the capability that you have, you could take less risks. Probably wouldn't have had to go into the city as much where he lost his daughter at. So it's just things that could have been done. So you definitely want to have those characteristics in those situations. Preparation being very important. So with that, I
Very key. And yeah, I'm glad you said that about working the land. So yeah, that type of that much land, you could tell that they were, there's some people who have tons of land and they just, they don't work it. So in a situation like that, it's like, you're kind of used to going to the store. So yeah, that type of situation, yeah, they should have definitely worked it beforehand. And yeah, definitely preparation. And then before I bring up brother, pass him to brother Jake and Makarov, um, the um, the reason I say about the topic is because after I'm trying to get a series together. So when we go through the series, it's 20 episodes, but I can get it done in 18 because the last episode is pretty short for both seasons. So I'll make that just one lesson, and so I want to go through each episode for each week together. And I don't want to have any breaks of people saying, oh, can you do food rotation, or can you do this, or can you do that. It'll kind of break the flow. So that's why I was asking for if there's any ideas you want us to have in the meantime before I start this series. So you guys, welcome to the stage. Who should we go to first? Brother Jake, you want to have add anything?
Yes. Um, okay. So sorry, I have to end that call. Okay, I would like us to discuss not to put the fear in anyone, but and I'm not sure if you've done it already. So with respect, uh, how to deal with um, treating wounds, um, like Jacob's trouble. We had to think about like we don't have you know pharmacies anymore. Um, we always talk about what's in your pack, right? But what are some of the pitfalls that you might have to deal with when it comes to you being sick or, getting an infection or getting diarrhea, getting dehydrated, getting shot in the abdomen, um, snapping a femur, snapping a forearm, snapping your collarbone, like things like that, because we no longer live in the comfort of our own homes where we have pillows and mattresses. and couches and chairs. Um, and just in case when we fall and don't land on one of those things, we can call 911 by saying, Alexa, call 911. Like we don't, you're not going to have that in a certain circumstance. Um, so I think that we can have that conversation on how to respond to those things during that time because it's easy to arm yourself, easy to make sure you pack your food and your beans and learn how to make a campfire. But if your husband breaks his leg and now you have to carry his pack, you know, and you might have to go and pull the bow and arrow, but he has to stay at the camp, the fire, make sure it stays hot. Um, how do you treat that wound? And then when you unwrap it to change the bandages and it starts smelling and it's itching and there's like this yellow stuff coming out of it, like how do you deal with that? Um, I think that would be great talking and education and brainstorming on.
Khan, the water. Yeah, I touched on that, but not too much. So I can definitely make that a part of a dedicated class on that. That'd be more in like the first aid, cert training, um, wound care class. Yeah, very good idea. The water.
And the bar.
Makarov, what you got? Welcome to the stage.
We need to talk about movement with rifles and movement with your pistol. It's like a big ass like rain kind of thunderstorm going on, and that still didn't stop me from going out and doing shit. And I hadn't been on the move, and like I mean I have, but not like I used to. And when it's dry and stuff outside, it's one thing, but when it's like raining and low visibility, and many of you may wear glasses or something, shit gets foggy. Your clothes are wet. Plus, you have your gear on you. Not many people know how to move with gear. I don't think many people that have bug out bags have even actually put them on their back and taken a walk through the park or like on a hiking trail. Many people just get a bug out bag and let it sit in their garage or whatever, and I'll get it when I have to go. It's like, nah. So I think we need to talk about movement with your gear, um, shooting from moving and all that transitions. I mean, of course, that's better demonstrated than talked about, but we need to talk about field manuals too, things that people have access. I'm pretty sure you guys have already gone over that because you guys always tell people go research on YouTube, and that's what you guys are really good for because you guys literally tell people to go do their own shit. Just don't depend on what you hear. But just driving home that point that it's certain realities that even in training, it's like you may have your bag packed now a certain way, and then when you actually get out in the field, it's like, damn, I need to repack this shit. So, just something that I just experienced, like legit, like less than an hour ago, because it's not always going to be sunny outside, and most people like to take open trails and pathways, and that'll get you killed right off the bat. So, I think we just, in short, to land this plane, we need to talk about moving with your gear, how to sustain it on your back, and how to like actually, you won't have everything with you. So once you set up your camp, you're not going to be running around with your back when you got to go out on supply runs. So that's it.
And the water for that. And I want to give you a shout out for your Instagram page, guys. If you're not following Makarov on Instagram, follow him. He does a lot of infield practical stuff, starting a fire, digging a trench, chopping wood. So you get to see, he
It's
has
not a trench
video.
anymore. That's just an all-out machine gun nest at this point.
Yeah, well, all praise. It's better than what I got. I ain't got nothing. It's good to see that. I mean, yeah, we watch videos on YouTube, and we sometimes we get some practical knowledge. But seeing one of our brothers do it, I mean, and someone you actually know, like, oh, okay, I like how he did that. Um, is very good. So the water for that. Everyone follow him. And in
Ooh, can I
reference,
hop in there?
yeah. Well, just real quick. In reference to what you said about your class, yeah, we'll talk about that specifically to figure out how to structure that. But yeah, that makes sense too. Um, Go ahead, Mike. You got it.
No, I just was gonna say, you know, I agree. I watch a lot of Makarov's videos on his story. I feel like this brother should, if we can work it in there eventually, he should teach like a gun class, like gun safety, gun etc. class, because he's very knowledgeable in this stuff. So
Con, I agree.
Yeah, all praise to the Most High.
Hey, Salaki, I just want to say before Sister RT go, just quick disclaimer. Max said all the women you only could watch from the IG. Stay out of his woods. He's not, don't attempt to go on his property. He said hell no to all the women that has been requesting. So, sorry.
He's not even
Also,
joking either. He's not even
yeah,
joking. That's the sad part. I'm dead
right,
ass, yo.
right.
y'all see
Also,
the picture.
yeah. Also, Leo said stay away from his house. No, he's not taking any Jacob's trouble people, mainly women at his house. He said hell no. So I just want to put the disclaimer out there. Those two brothers, stay away. No bueno. All right.
Man, after I cuss y'all out for about 20 minutes, like y'all didn't pay attention to nothing. No, I'm joking, man. But yeah, all praises, brother Makarov. All praise to the Father for him putting in his work. That's, follow him on Instagram. Can't emphasize that enough. Sister RT, what do you got? Welcome to the stage.
You did a class
Chelsea.
about gardening and everything. Did you do a class?
I did. That will be on, I think, episode 12 or 13 about the intro to gardening. That was the name of that lesson. Intro to gardening food rotation. So, really quick about indoor gardening. There's some techniques you can use. You can use the grow bags. You can get the grow lights. People use those for hydroponics or growing various other stuff. It'll work just as well as things like that. As just as well as you're growing whatever. But if you're in an apartment, you're slow on space, and I would use your patio or your balcony to grow potatoes and things like that. There's no restrictions from the landlord or anything or the apartment complex. If you don't have a patio and there's no space at all, I really wouldn't worry about gardening. I'm just be honest with you, just because there's no room. So you got to have soil, you got to have water. It needs aeration, things like that. You could do like a micro garden. It's like mostly for like herbs and stuff. So if you want to grow some medicinal herbs, and things like that, that would be a good idea. But people trying to grow a cornfield and you just don't have the space for it, then it's not really something practical to do. Um, but those would be the options I would use. In addition, I touched on that in the intro to gardening. So yes.
Okay, the water.
And one thing I want to mention about gardening, I'll pass it over to Azriel. He can get in there if he wants. Is like gardening should be, it shouldn't be your main food source. I mean, unless you have a garden that's already producing a sustainable amount of food for you and your family. I know people who have gardens. I know people who have farms, and they still go grocery shopping. Just sometimes you're gonna have a bad season. Sometimes just the crops aren't just doing what it's supposed to be doing. Or there may be a drought, or you may have a harsh winter. So your garden, I mean, unless you just got it rocking and rolling and it's just, you know, which are rare these days. But again, assuming that's your case, the garden is your just supplemental to your food storage or to your food supply. So in the case of that movie where he ran out of cans, his farm or his garden should, carry him over until, he feels comfortable to going back into the city or doing a supply run or this and that. But I think some people kind of get the not wrong idea, but they kind of romanticize gardening. Which again, if you can do it, it's a beautiful thing. It's fun. It's therapeutic. But relying on that solely as your food source, in the times we're in, is just not. It should be supplemental. I think that's put like that. That should be the best way to look at it. It's supplemental. for those who are garden. Azriel, you had anything to comment about the film? Welcome. Your thoughts, comments, things you noticed?
No, I don't. Yeah, no comment at this time.
Uh, all praises. So Jake's class, talking about first aid, wound care, I can put that in there, and then talk to Makarov about what he wants to do. And then for those who want to know about indoor gardening, I covered that. I covered gardening, and then I covered indoor gardening in the lesson on. It's on King Ben's YouTube channel. I have to update the website to put that latest video on there. It should be on there, but just in case, go to King Ben's YouTube channel, and it's the food rotation intro to gardening lesson. We covered that. Everything you need to get you started. And the thing is, like what Brother Max Makarov said about actually going into the field and testing out your equipment, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. And I gave the story of the one of the sisters who bought a machete and didn't know how to use a ferro rod, and her failure, she learned a lot. Same thing with gardening. I see a bunch of people, they got a bunch of seeds. I see all the seeds on, Twitter and Instagram, but I don't see any tilling of the land or, grow bags or, pots. I just see a bunch of seeds and people taking pictures. That's not how you garden. Um, and once you start gardening, you're going to learn every single plant has its own separate regiment. Like it's not just pour water and give it sun. Like some love the sun, some hate the sun. Some love the heat, some absolutely can't stand the heat. So you're not going to learn that until you actually start growing, and then you're going to learn all the mistakes and things that everyone before you have learned. And after that, you'll start getting finding your stride with the crops that you like, that it's easy to grow. For me, sweet potatoes, they're super easy. They love the heat. They love stuff like that. I mean, they're pretty sustaining. Um, I found after years of gardening, but just get started. The same. Again, I said this earlier in the news. The best time to plant that fruit tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So get started.
Calm.
But for me, Con, I don't have any more to. I don't have anything else to discuss. Ben, if you have any other announcements or things you want to cover,
Uh,
feel free.
Real quick, I just wanted
Go
to.
ahead.
It's not really much, but take a look at the book Native American Herbalist Bible. It's you can find it on Amazon. It's a bestseller. I think it's about 25, 26 bucks max. And in that you could find the best food to grow for medicine, the fastest food, like Leo was bringing out just now, foods that do well in harsh conditions, so extreme heat, extreme cold. You know the difference between each and what you can grow during different seasons, what herbs and what fruits and edible plants are, all around that could be grown all year long. So check out that book. Again, the book is called, give me a second, it's called Native American Herbalist Bible. So it's 4 books in one. And it's like, I'm looking at it now, it's 25.46 on Amazon. So give that book a try. Um, I was getting into it, and it's a good book. I just wanted to tag that on there. So Ben, you could pick up, or Mike.
Con, the water for that. Appreciate you.
Con. You have some notes, Adrian?
No, that on the survivalist book that I told you guys about a couple months back. That's an excellent book to get. Um, I think it's called the Guide to Surviving Anything. It's a guy that was a Edomite guy that was a SAS agent back in the day. So he was like the equivalent of a Navy SEAL, but for the British, right? And he has a book on how to survive anything in harsh conditions, urban conditions. It's a very, very good book. You know, how to use the things around you to create the things you need. Very excellent book. So I suggest everybody that should be a staple in your library as it relates to, survival. Makarov would be proud of that book. So most definitely a good book to go out and get. SAS Guide to Surviving Everything is the name, and you can find that one on Amazon as well. But Salakia, go ahead, bud.
Ooh, Salaki, just real quick. I just sent you Azrael the link. Is this it? Because I found it on PDF. Just so if it is, I could send it out to other people
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna take a look at it right now.
for water.
Did you send it in Thy Kingdom Come or?
No, I sent it to you in the back chat on here.
Oh, okay. Give me a second.
Yeah,
Yeah, when people.
when people send me books, yeah, I'm quick. I'll look it up on PDF so I could just start reading it. But yeah, I was interested in this
No, this isn't it. But I mean, I'm running down in it, and yo, this is still a good book, so you may want to share this. But this isn't the exact one I was speaking of just now.
one. Con. Okay. Con.
No, but this is good. Plant healing properties. Yo, it's a lot of Yo, this is a book from our people, man. Native American is talking about milk thistle, milkweed, golden seal, garlic, dandelion. Yeah, you need to share this one, Mike.
Con. Yeah, no, I just Googled it just real quick and tried to find the PDF.
No, but that's the spirit, bro, because that's a good resource right there. You know. So I'm gonna log that one in and download it for myself real quick for water. But yeah, you can put that in Thy Kingdom Come. That'll be a good link to throw in there.
All right, Salakia. For anybody that's not in the telechat, I think most of the people in the room should be in the telechat. Just hit myself in the back chat. I think Brother Feed, I sent you a link for the back chat, King. So just check your back channel. You're in here a good amount, so you definitely should be in the telechat if you're not. Um, Mainly, I think that's it. Um, I think it was a very good lesson. I always tell everyone to take, um, be be mindful not to miss these little these movies. Don't discount them as not being interesting. There a lot of the time Leo, he takes it time out of his schedule to put these up, and they're not that long. Mainly while you're sitting in the kitchen making you a meal, you could pop these on and check it out. And they're interesting. And I always say that that what you should do is just think of the things in the movie of how many things that you could pick out that are something that uh, from the Jacob Trouble class that might have been a mistake or something that could be improved upon or something that you can apply to just training and preparedness. It's like it's just like a puzzle, basically finding the things that you can compare to the Jacob Trouble training. It's just that simple. And I know myself, I usually do it. I try to make sure that I don't do it just before the class, but I do make sure that I come to the class with this information. Is just the brother Leo is really taking his time out with dedication to inform our people. That's what we do in this platform with everything that we're doing. So we got to warn the people, and the brother Leo has set it up. It's a beautiful like I said, the easiest user friendly site that I've ever been to. I could literally go to the site and click on the movie, watch it, make it full screen, check it out real quick, and I'm done. I could literally go down there and get all of the list of lessons, and I'm done. How easy is that? No one brings that work to you when you are trying to train. Little, he's actually bringing these lessons onto your little cell phone, onto your tablet. It's just that easy. So check it out. It's going to come a time where this stuff is missed. You're going to wish that you took advantage of these things that Brother Leo is doing. Mike, you want to say something before we peel out? So you're Mike.
Oh no, I didn't have anything. No, not
Okay.
at all.
Con. So with that being said, of course, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. We thank him for allowing us to be here another night. What's a Tuesday without a Jacob's Trouble class? I don't know. So we of course we thank him for that, for being here to be able to inform our people, and for y'all gathering and taking in the information. So again, with that being said, of course, we pray that y'all have a beautiful rest of your evening. Be safe. Of course, be vigilant. And I'll say shalom.